out there. We've got a beautiful day of sports ahead. You can kick back with your family, have those Easter eggs. Hopefully, when you find them, there's some money inside. I was always a big fan of that money egg, Eric. I know you and me, we like the money. That's what we're doing here, you know. I would fight with my cousins trying to find that freaking big money egg with the $20 in it, man. I love me some Easter egg hunts.
I would be the same way, tackling, trying to get it. I remember going out to my grandma's place, small town on Lake Huron up in Michigan. There'd always be one egg that had it was like $15 in it. And it was like a little city thing they did.
Exactly.
I mean, I'd be clawing these kids trying to find that money.
Me too. I'd be thinking, where was it last year? Is it going to be there? Or then maybe it won't be there last year. Already, our strategy, the way that we look into games, I was already doing that when we were 4 to 5 years old, trying to find those eggs. Hopefully everyone has a fantastic Sunday. Eric, you and I had a pretty good Saturday with the NBA yesterday. Heck, I think we were both very close to hitting everything that we played out. I was one bucket away with Bones Highland from a clean sweep with my 4. Got a nice little plus money on Donovan Mitchell. You nailed multiple games yesterday with your plays, and you've been doing a really good job of putting together videos showing what some of our prior selections and hits were. So every day before we go, you can take a look at the video and see some of our hits from yesterday. You've been doing a great job on that. Let's keep the momentum rolling, man. I'm feeling good right now.
You know what? Stuff is going good. We're seeing the board. Let's keep it going.
Yep. Okay, so 4 games today. We have 2 of the teams that made it into their play-ins that are going to be actually, I guess 3 of the teams that made it in through their play-ins are going to be playing today. First game on the slate, we've got Miami and Atlanta here. So Miami is kind of quietly your number 1 seed. Miami's not a team that a lot of people have been talking about, not really all that sexy over there, sort of the Brooklyn team that gets a lot of buzz. And then since the trade, Philly gets a little bit more buzz. Milwaukee's kind of that team to beat. I don't think most of us really know what to do with Miami overall, right? As like a top team, how good is this team really? Do they have enough shooting? I mean, do they have enough shooting with their key contributors when someone like Butler's on the floor? He's been shooting a little bit more from 3, which I think will help them. They're 6th in point differential, 12th in offensive rating this year, 4th in defensive rating, and 6th in the net. Found out on the flip side that John Collins is going to test things out today for Atlanta. He's missed time for a while, so that could change things. And that's sort of going to lead to one of my plays, Eric, because I think Collins be a little bit bigger out there. I believe sometimes when you have one of your stars coming back, it actually hurts you for a game or 2 because you want to try to get them involved, right? You want to feel like you want to force it to make things easy on them. Get John some touches, make things easy, run a few plays for him. I feel like they may have a tough time early, just kind of getting back into flow. I think Miami's going to be playing excellent defense. Atlanta is a miserable team on the road. And I think for their first playoff game, early Sunday game 2, I'm going to go under. We can see this game up at 220.5 right now. So I'm locking in the under 220.5 for my first play today. What are you looking at in this game?
I like that play a lot. And your whole thought process is 100% correct. You got someone coming back. When someone comes back for that first game, especially someone like Collins, who's a big part of the offense, they try to force it to him a little bit too much. Also, let's say what up to Vaughn. He's watching us on YouTube.
Vaughn.
How you doing today, buddy?
Good luck today.
In terms of this game, I got 2 plays. First play, and they kind of go hand in hand with what you're saying. I took the Heat minus 3.5 for the first half, and also minus 6 for the game. No Capella there. They're going to miss the young Capella pick and roll. We really don't know what we're going to get from Collins, how much he's going to go, how much in shape he is. And with a limited Collins and no Capella, that really hurts the rim protection that the Hawks are able to do. And let's face it, the Hawks are the best defensive team. Heat shoot the 6th most threes per game in the whole NBA. And that's the weakness of the Hawks defense. They really struggle. Don't get me wrong. Young was phenomenal. He totally out-dueled Garland, and
that was the key to the game, right? Because I needed Garland. We played. That was the difference between in winning and in losing. Their best players stepped up, carried them, and Garland kind of crumbled in the moment a little bit.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Garland just, I hate to swear, but he shit his pants. You know
He
what I
did.
mean? Like
No, he did. You're right.
he was a deer in headlights.
Yep.
So yeah, I like the Heat here. I mean, and let's face it, the Hawks finished the season strong, but like, this team is only 42-39. He had the best record in the East. The Heat should dominate the series and win, especially with no Capella. So yeah, I like the Heat in -3.5 for the first half, and also -6 for the game.
Heat for Erik. I'm going to be looking at the under there. So let's get Miami out to a nice early lead and just slow things down, make it tough on Atlanta defensively there in game one. Yeah, I got to say, overall, just the way that yesterday's slate was, I found more plays yesterday myself, just in the way that those games were matched up than in today's matchup. In this next game, so in game one, just the one play for me. Do you have anything else you want to mention in this Atlanta-Miami? I like this. To me, was one of the harder series to get a real feel for. I always kind of talk with you about how I make, I've got my little database of every team or players, and I kind of add notes to them anytime I read articles or I see social media stuff or I'm watching a game. There's a stat that pops up, and for some reason, for these two teams, I actually had like the least of my notes, compared to the next game where I have like the most of my notes for Brooklyn and Boston, which is a really kind of fun, excellent series, Erik. If you told me, now that we know Robert Williams isn't going to be playing for at least a little while, Bill Simmons seems to think he's going to come back middle of the series. Ben Simmons, we're hearing he could come back middle of the series. You and I spoke about this yesterday. You and I have spoken about this a bunch now. He's not going to play today, but you have to sort of talk about it with this series. Boston today is favored over Brooklyn by about 4. Over under in this game around 225.5. They are saying that Ben Simmons is going to be back for like game 3 or 4. How the hell can you put that guy on the court? He has not played in a year. He has not ever played with your team, with your scheme. The last time we saw him out there, he had mental health issues. He couldn't make a free throw. He was curled up. I mean, you're going to put him out there in the middle of a series against one of the best teams in the NBA, who had one of the best defenses in the league. He doesn't even know where to go on offense, and he's going to try to guard Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. Come on.
You're setting him up to fail. You know what I mean? Like, he's an elite defender.
You're a coach. You couldn't do that to one of your players who hadn't played for a year, came back. You were going to put them in this intense situation, especially if you knew that player was a player who mentally wasn't as strong as, right? There are a lot of factors that go into it.
I mean, I do definitely think, though, his first game, it should be at home.
100%.
And if he comes out and he's running, and he's completely in shape, then we all know this whole thing that he was doing was a farce. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Me too.
But if they put him out there, he's not 100%. That's a big thing, but he's key. I mean, he's a top 15 defender. If he can keep Tatum in check, that allows Durant to rest a little bit more on defense. That's huge for him. In terms of this game is really interesting to me. And the way I look at it is the Nets are only 10-17 ATS with KD and Irving playing. And Boston is the best defensive team in the whole NBA. And what they're going to do is when Irving or KD are in ISO, they're going to run twos and they're going to force Mills, Curry, et cetera, to hit shots. And I just don't – I'm not going to trust that those guys can make shots. We saw in the Cavs game how much the Nets offense struggled when one of the two, KD or Irving, were off the floor. And you just look, Tatum's been a covering machine at home in the Celtics era that he's been there. They're 69% at home when he plays. When they're a home favorite, they're 66% against the spread. And the Nets really struggled in isolation defense, and they give up the 11th most points, and that's the offensive sets with Brown and Tatum that they like to run. I think the Celtics are going to win this game. I locked them in at -4.
They have 18 wins by 20 points or more this year, tied for the most in the league. They have the biggest point differential in the East, and they have the league's differential between expected wins and actual wins. This team was a little bit unlucky. They were actually supposed to win 62 games this year based on their metrics, and which was something that was funny. I think I shared with you last night. One of the reasons why I do this, you do this, is because I think when I've watched other shows and I've watched other coverage of mainstream sports, I could always tell when people didn't watch games or really put the work in, because so many people just look at the box score of something that happened, see the scores, and move along. You watched that game yesterday between Minnesota and Memphis, and I showed you the shot quality score.
Yeah.
What was interesting is that Minnesota won that game pretty handily, like pretty easily. They were up throughout, but when you look and you really isolate the shots they took, they usually do not make those shots. Most players and most teams usually do not make those shots. Does that mean that they would have automatically lost? Well, no, but the way that shot quality graded their game, they said 90% of the time Memphis would have won that game based on those same shots being taken. It reminds me of stuff like what you were just saying. I think we get caught up in scores. We get caught up in just the box score. And if you haven't watched the game a lot of the times, you can see, oh, Memphis got their doors blown off. There's a little more to it than that. And
that game yesterday was weird. My takeaways from that are Memphis just had the crucial stop.
Yep.
And then he just make a bad decision on the offensive end.
Yep.
Number two, is there like some sort of like sleeper cell that's trying to put Taylor, the owner of the Timberwolves, under the bus? We saw it in the first game when the person glued their hand.
I know.
And then yesterday they threw confetti. How the hell are you getting a chain link, like a metal chain, into an arena? I went to a game with
you couldn't even bring your wallet in.
Yeah, we went to a Bucks game. It was me, my friend, and his fiance. She couldn't even bring her purse in.
Yeah.
And somehow this lady's like smuggling a chain in. I don't know. And like the rumor is like they're gonna try to do something every game. Like, I don't know. It's just the whole thing was just weird.
We saw Vaughn up there earlier. Yeah, anyone that's got any comments, questions, if you have a play that you want to share with us, we'd love to hear from you. Put your comment in. We'll post it up and we'll share it with everyone out there. If you have a question about a game, if Eric and I know, we will sure find out. We will sure do our best to answer it for you. If not, we'll find out for you, and we'll get that question answered. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on this Sunday. So, Eric, Robert Williams likely to miss the first round. His timetable would have him back 4 to 6. That would put him right around the start of round 2 if they get there. As I said, they're saying he could maybe make it back for the end of the series. But I know one thing, he will not be playing in this game, which means you get a lot more Al Horford. You get a lot more Williams. You get a lot more small. They have to go small. They've got in there too, who's fine. But none of those guys are legitimate bigs. And we laugh and we joke a lot about Magic Drummond. Andre Drummond from your years at Detroit. I've seen Andre try to do a little too much when he came over with the Lakers last year. But the one thing this guy can do is he can sure as shit rebound the basketball. That's one thing that he does very, very well. He is going to go down as one of like the all-time great rebounders. And I just look at the matchup and the way that it's going to be on the floor. He's just going to be a guy that's the biggest dude there. You know that Durant and Kyrie are going to be carrying the load offensively quite a bit. They're not going to he's not someone who you run a lot of offense for. For him, any type of scores are usually like putbacks, rebounds, put back up. I just don't know size-wise who's going to be able to match up with him here. I think he's going to get a ton of boards. I went over Andre Drummond rebounds 10.5 there. I think Drummond gets 13, 14 rebounds. Now, my only concern would be is if they're so small that he gets played off the court. But I do think that might go late. That might be something that happens like later in the series. If that were to happen, I think those teams will sort of adjust and readjust back to each other. So give me Drummond over the 10.5 rebounds in here. Let's go Magic Drummond today. No passing, no dribbling through the legs, no handles. I just need those hands to be up, grab those boards. That's it.
I mean, he can easily do that. I mean, I could totally see that happening. And you're right. These adjustments, that's not going to happen until after a couple of games. So yeah, he should be able to go over that number unless he just thinks he's a point guard and starts turning the ball over right and left.
If any of you want a little more full form analysis of these series, Erik joined me on my podcast, That's What G Said, on Friday. I posted it. We spent probably 20 or 30 minutes on each series. Like, we went real deep into each series, talked about what could happen, positives, negatives for both teams. On these shows, we'll kind of be talking game by game, day by day, because we'll be having these preview shows every day. So it's nice. We'll be able to react, and we'll be able to kind of bounce back and forth. Mr. Mize asks, what do you think about Trae Young over 28.5? I would probably go under myself. I'm not, but I don't have a strong opinion there. I know that you've been this way in football too. I generally like to play against after someone's had a big game. And so after they've had a big game, I usually go the other way. And today with Collins in the mix, I'm kind of like with my handicap with the under. I'm thinking Trae might try to get Collins a few quick buckets or some easy buckets. Maybe he's worried about getting him the ball a little bit. There's already been that weird dynamic with those two. So maybe he tries to overdo it, like we joked about with Donovan and Rudy, right? Maybe he tries to get him the ball even more because we're all talking about that there's something there. I would say no, but what about you?
I mean, the one I was looking at was the Trae Young assist points combo that is
okay,
under
that I like better.
37.5.
And
I would actually play that one better. It's at 37.5 at minus 120. I would play that one before I played the point total.
I could see something like 25 and 13 and 14, right? Yep. Something like that, just trying to get a few easy buckets for Collins. Good question, Mr. Mize. Good luck to you. Erik and I would both maybe lean the combo. If you can find a combo out there for Trae Young points and assists. I had a couple of those combos a couple days ago, and they worked out pretty well. Good luck to you, Mr. Mize. Thanks for checking in with us today. So Brooklyn, Boston, Drummond for me. Erik's leaning on the Boston side. Erik, let's jump into game number 3 today. Your Milwaukee Bucks are now all the way up to a pretty heavy favorite in here. This is one of the bigger lines that we're going to see in round 1. It's above 10 now, 10 and a half. And I mean, I understand why. I think we look at the Bulls, and this Bulls team was a really cool story to start the year. 39-21 on February the 24th. They were the number 1 seed in the East. Since then, they've gone 7-15. They went from 1st to 6th. They finished the season 1-14 against the top 4 teams in the East. They were overall 2-21 against the top 4 teams in both conferences. They were 0-4 against the Bucks this year. They really struggle without Lonzo Ball. They need him for defense on the perimeter. They just need him for pace, too. He gets the ball, he goes, he makes you move a little bit quicker because this team isn't a prolific three-point shooting team. So you sort of like look at Chicago, and it's like, they do well. They really don't do a lot well with this group of guys. Their defense is bad. They're 23rd in defensive rating. Their net rating is 20th. They're not even an above average team in the net rankings. It was really weird. Like I said, they don't take a lot of shots from 3. They have the lowest rate of shots that they take from 3. And the problem with that is if you want to try to beat Milwaukee, because I think Milwaukee's beatable, but you have to be able to shoot threes at a very good clip to beat Milwaukee, because that's what they do. They go, here, you take threes. If you're able to hit tough threes, you're going to beat us because we're going to allow you to do that. But we're not going to allow you to drive the lane. We're not going to allow you to get easy buckets at the rim. We've got Brook Lopez back now. He's an awesome rim presence. Brook Lopez last year was number 1 in defense at the rim. Last year, his opponent shot 30% at the rim, which isn't, think about that. That's the easiest shot at the rim. And you were 30% against Brook Lopez. Actually, he was second only behind Draymond last year. This year, since he's been back, opponents are 12 for 40. So I can't in my head. I gamble. We know crazy things happen. If the Bulls were to win this game or win a game or two, Would it be the weirdest thing in the world? No. But the way that I handicap, I have to see it. I have to find ways so I can see, like in my head, I can play it out on the court. I can't see how the Bulls go in there right now and beat this Bucks team when there's nothing on paper that I've seen from them throughout the year that would lead me there.
Yeah, this is a real tough matchup for the Bulls, and with what the line sits, what they win. Bulls were over 500, and the Bucks are laying the same amount of points that the Phoenix Suns are. That just shows you how much disrespect and what the bookmakers think of this Bulls team. And you're right, the Bucks play the pack and D. They're going to force you to make threes. They really don't have that spot up shooter. They're going to put Valanciunas in the pick and roll, which is going to be a nightmare.
Or Vucevic.
Vucevic, yeah, sorry.
No,
the only thing, if there wasn't such a big layoff, I would probably take the Bucks minus the points. But such a big layoff, I'm going to step away. The only play here that I even contemplated taking, but I didn't take it because if this does get a blowout, I don't know how much he's going to play, was Brook Lopez over 1.5 threes. Because if they start rolling away with the game, they're not going to have him play over 25.
No, not at all.
But if it's closer, he'll play a little bit more. So yeah, I'm just going to stay away from this game. Maybe if the Bucks start off slow, look to take them for the game or the first half. But this is just to stay away for me. The one thing when I was looking at this game that I noticed is the games that were close, and none of them were really close, DeRozan was able to get to the line. So if DeRozan's able to get to the line, that's the Bulls' only chance.
Yeah. I just really wanted to dive into to find a way to play a dog. You know, if the Bulls are laying or the Bucks are laying 10, I would love to try to find a way to get there. I just can't. Couple things to mention for Giannis because he's had just a fantastic year that I think a lot of people are talking about. Embiid, talking about Jokic. Giannis scored 528 points in 526 fourth quarter minutes this year. He's one of only 5 players in the play-by-play era, so since 1996, to average 1 point per fourth quarter minute. And he's the only player in the last 25 years to average 8 points in the fourth quarter and shoot 55% during the fourth. What I noticed with Giannis is, I think it was last year where it really felt like during that playoff run, he understood needs to go on the court and what he needs to do. I think he stopped trying to get cute with the threes, with some of the jumpers. You'll still see those every now and then to keep teams honest. But when games got tight, he just went right at you. And I feel like that mentality, he was like, oh, if I do this, nobody can stop me. Like there's really, like nobody can stop me. If I try to shoot some threes, well, I can miss some threes. You know, if I go right at the basket, nobody can stop me. They're going to foul me. And you know what? I'll get better at my free throws. And that's something that he has done also. So shout out to him, man. I know he's your boy over there, and he's had another fantastic
it's so hard to change the narrative about you. Once people have this idea that you can't do A, B, or C, he went out there, and it used to be, hey, what is he going to do to mess this up? And now it's like you watch a game this year, it's like, what is he going to do to save the day? I mean, it's truly insane what he's able to do. He's dependable on the free throw line in clutch situations. Defensively, he's insane what he can do. So, yeah, it would take a crazy injury or historic shooting from the Bulls for them to have any shot in the series.
Yeah, I would agree. If you guys somehow can find a way, or if you like the Bulls, let us know why. I would love to hear your reasoning. And I'm not saying that to be like crazy because trust me, I love to bet long shots. Anytime someone's betting a dog or a long shot, I want to know why because I want to be able to get there myself. So always want to hear from all of you out there. We've been getting some nice comments. Mr. Mize checked in, asked a couple questions here. Let's finish up, Eric, and let's remind everyone that we will be back tomorrow, Monday through Friday, every day that there's NBA playoffs, 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern time with our live stream. And if you want to hang out with us, ask some questions, share some comments, we would love to hear from you. And we would encourage you to head on over to BetUS. to play whatever games, races, action that you want. Check out that site, tinyurl.com/BTVBetUS. You get 125% bonus on your first deposit. Eric, final game tonight, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. It's funny where it's like, at this point, Atlanta will have played 3 times before Phoenix played once in the last week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it feels like Phoenix hasn't played in a year, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I was thinking about this. Like, I'm in the middle of driving back from mid-Michigan, Chicago right now. Was what happened in the Minnesota game yesterday? Was that rust? You know what I mean? Because like you sent me the shot quality. Like it really makes you think, like, is that going to be a factor when you're laying these big numbers? And because of that, I can't take the Suns. However, I did take Booker over 2.5 threes in this game. That's my only play. Just looking at it, he's shooting 48.5% from 3. His last 5 games since the All-Star game, he's shooting 43% from 3. And just look, he's gone over this total 2 out of the 4 games they've played against the Pelicans. But more importantly, he's averaging about 8 3-point attempts a game against the Pelicans. So he will get the shots. If he hits his percentage, it's going to go over the number. So I'm just doing the math. So I play that at minus 120 juice.
And Booker, you can tell that he and the Suns are a little bit pissed that he hasn't been getting more MVP buzz this year. Because there are, by a lot, because think about it. If you're Booker, you're like, wow, I was always under the radar. Nobody talked about me, even though I put up big numbers, because everybody told me I put up big numbers on a crappy team. And now my team wins. We got the best record in the league. We've been awesome. We've been dominant. And nobody's talking about me now. I can understand why he would be a little bit frustrated. He's like, look, I did what you guys all said. We've won now. And he's changed the way he plays. And it's because of Chris Paul. It's because of Monty Williams. He's a better overall player. Dude, when Chris Paul went out, this guy can play point guard. He can play point guard and get everybody else involved and legitimately do it. This guy's a better defender. And what we know with a lot of these NBA players, Eric, what you know as a coach, like the number one thing with defense, honestly, number one thing with defense, some people out there, you're small, you're slow, whatever it is, you may not be able to be a fantastic defender, but everybody can try. Everybody can move their feet. Everybody can throw their hands up. Everybody can act like they care on that side. And that's what we've seen from Devin Booker. Earlier in the year, Rudy Gobert made a comment, about that. He said, wow, look over what Devin Booker's done. He was kind of taking a shot at Donovan Mitchell, his own guy. He said Devin Booker's really bought playing defense and all this stuff, which is hilarious that he said that. But, man, major props to Phoenix because they've been incredible. And with all that being said, I'm going to play against them this week in this game. I don't think they lose. Yeah. I do not think they lose the game. I do think that there is a little bit of rust built in, like we talked about with Memphis yesterday. Memphis had not played in a week. We had a Minnesota team that played earlier in the week. They had a real big boost. They sort of feel good about winning to get in because they weren't sure if they were going to make it in. I feel like for the Pelicans, you're going to have a similar type attitude. Man, I almost cried when I was watching the post game of the Pelicans. Brandon Ingram was being interviewed. And I love, I'm a Laker fan and I love some of these young Laker guys who were, they did really well for the Lakers, but you needed to move on. And you needed to kind of take the next step to win a title. And Brandon Ingram said, I've never been on a pro team that either had a winning record or made the playoffs. And he said, wow. He said, all I wanted was to be able to showcase what I can do on a higher level. And I felt bad. I was like, wow, this guy's been pretty good. And you think about the progression that he's made through the years. Remember when it was him or Simmons? The question?
Yes, it's crazy. I mean, I'm a little upset he signed the extension. I would have loved my Pistons to make a play for him. And I'll say this, man. What CJ was able to do was great. I love CJ McCollum. And like at the end of the day, it kind of makes you think like, what if he would have been traded to Philadelphia instead of what's his face? Instead
Harden.
of Harden.
Yeah.
What if he went there? And I mean, with seeing him play point, seeing him running the show, I mean, geez, dude, that makes you think, God dang,
He's a much better
maybe the
facilitator
76ers made
than
the
I
wrong
thought he
choice.
was. CJ is a much better facilitator than I thought he was. And that's mainly because CJ never played that role. Dame was the facilitator.
Yep.
CJ got to be the off-ball guy that could cook a little bit, and those two would, but you would mainly see CJ getting his own. Like, he'd go get his own buckets, but on this team, he has a different role, and he seems like he likes it. He seems like he likes that role, kind of being the leader. He gets to be the older guard with them. And so I do think they have two guys between Ingram and CJ that can go get buckets and keep them in the game. Keep them in the game late. I think late in the game, Phoenix will wear them down. I think Phoenix will have a little bit too much. But I do think New Orleans has enough to keep this game within single digits. So that's where I'm going. I played the plus 10.5 on New Orleans here, hoping that Phoenix is just a little bit rusty and it takes them a little while to get flowing. And let's go Pelicans. I've got two teams that I'm sort of like adopting, Eric, this year because I don't have any Lakers to root for. So, I'm going to be on the Pelicans and the T-Wolves bandwagons. I like those two dogs. I'm going to be rooting for them. That doesn't mean I'm going to be betting them every game. There's no way. You don't do things like that. But I'd love to see those teams at least play well. I don't think the Pelicans have a shot in hell, but I'd love to see them win a game or two. I'd love to see Ingram have another game or two like he had the other night. Larry Nance. It was actually, man, a lot of my baby Lakers this week. Ingram, Larry Nance, Angelo all had pretty good games on national stages. I was like seeing your little boys grow up a little bit,
I mean, what could have been? What could have been? To answer the question about the Hunter rebounding props, just looking at his game log against Miami, the last time they played, he only had one rebound.
And now Collins is going to be playing today, right? That worries me a little bit.
Collins is going to be playing. There was one game where he went off for 10 rebounds back in January 21st. But the other game he had 0. The other game he had 1. I mean, it's a low number, but he's only gone over that number one time the 4 times that they've played. And then also looking at it for his last 5, when you look at it for his last 5, what is he averaging? Hold on one second. For his last 5, I mean, he's only averaging 3.8, so for the season, he's only averaging 3.3. I mean, that's right at the number. If I were to play it, I'd play the under, but, with those stats and him only going it over once against the Heat, I would stay away.
See, and like I'm with stats like that, rebound stats, I'm big on minutes, right?
Yeah.
Because I want to know how many minutes you're going to be playing to the players that I think you're going to just accidentally get a couple extra rebounds, right? When you're on the court, the ball's going to bounce to you a little bit more.
And there's no Capella, like you said. So, I mean, I could see it go over, but with the numbers that I look at, I would stay away forever.
So, like, no Capella, but Collins is back. The thing that concerns me, they have a lot of, in a very basic way of handicapping, they've got a lot of guys on Atlanta, right? If I could very easily see if Collins comes in, there could be lineups where it's not that Hunter gets played out, but if like any of their shooters are playing, like you could see moments where it's like, okay, Collins is playing. Now Herter is shooting well. You got Trey out there. You kind of look at where the lay of the land is. I mean, if he's only playing like 28 minutes and if he's not playing 35 minutes, I'd lean the other way. So I would lean under there. Or that just wouldn't be a play that I would play. I don't know if I would necessarily go under, but I wouldn't dive in and play the over myself.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Eric, my friend, it was another beautiful Sunday with you. Happy Easter to you and your family, buddy. Thanks so much for the last couple of years. It's been great talking with you every day, and I look forward to chatting with you every day, previewing these NBA playoff games. I believe Kyle, DFS Bachelor, will be back with us tomorrow, 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, 3 o'clock Pacific time. I think we have 3 games to discuss tomorrow because what we'll see now is in the first round, what is going to be a benefit for a couple of these teams with injuries, they get a lot of time in between some of these games. they kind of schedule the games to be played on national TV. So during the week, you don't have 4 game slates like we see on these Saturdays and Sundays. They'll usually only have 2 or 3 games. So all of those games can be on TV somewhere. So teams like Boston, who are trying to get Robert Williams back, or maybe even a team like the Nets, who are trying to get Ben Simmons healthier, those teams will be a little lucky the way the schedule will break because they're going to get some extra days in between.
Yeah, but unfortunately for the Raptors, I mean, they play Monday and then they play Wednesday. The Raptors kind of got the short end of the stick.
And Barnes.
With the schedule injury because of arms. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I'm looking forward to it. This is a great time. I love betting this. This is when we can get some value in the series prices. So I'm sure Gino, Kyle, myself will have some series prices for future wise to give out to you guys tomorrow too.
Yep. Now things will be able. This is where my favorite part of handicapping the NBA season is right now. The game 1 start, because now it's all about how do you react, how do you counter what everybody else did, right? And you can sort of, when you watch all the games throughout, sometimes we're going to be right and wrong, but you can get a really good feel for like the shifts in momentum or adjustments that are made out there. And then we saw it in the Clipper game the other day, right? They make an adjustment. They basically took Towns out of the game, but then they couldn't really readjust back when Minnesota was able to go small successfully. The Clippers couldn't really stop them, and they couldn't really defend the perimeter when they were getting in there. So I love these counter punch, and shout out to LeBron. Did you see when he tweeted that Ty Lue? Did you see the tweet from LeBron during that game?
I did. And then didn't your Lakers lowball him?
Well, they did. And what was really funny, it was like, it's like LeBron, he was your coach first, and you before, and then you left. The Lakers sort of lowballed him, which, it's funny because at that point, Ty Lue wasn't really, he's a better coach now than I thought he was at that point. Let me say that, right? I didn't realize scheme-wise, he's as good of a coach as he is. He's a very good coach, but he's sure not Bill Belichick of basketball, which he's been called. And I thought it was hilarious how the moment LeBron said he's the greatest coach out there, that immediately the Pelicans went on that run, or immediately the T-Wolves went on that run. No, it was the Pelicans, I guess. And the Pelicans end up beating them. And so it's funny because it's like, yeah, he can be a great coach, but he's a great coach sitting at home right now.
Yeah. LeBron mushed it. I mean, I was on the Clippers twice, and they blew 2 double-digit leagues in the fourth quarter.
You were done. The moment LeBron tweeted that, I saw it, and I was like, whenever I see tweets like that's the one thing with me as a gambler that I never do, because it's gotten me before. I never count my chickens before they hatch. I never post that this game is over. I never mark a winner until the very end. My old buddy who used to gamble with me all the time, shout out to my old roommate James, good friend of mine. When we would have either bets that we placed like with each other, we would place kind of fun bets sometimes so we wouldn't have to do the juice others. And he would always, before the end of the game, he would always go, "Oh, hey, Gino, I'm going to mark this down as a winner for you." Don't you dare. Don't you put the line through that game, because as soon as you mark one a winner, you know what happens. It goes back.
It goes the other way. Yeah.
The gambling gods, it's that energy.
We've all been there.
It's that karma. So that's the one piece of advice I'll always give to everyone. Just wait to send that tweet till the last second. That's all. Just wait before you press send till the game's over, because you don't want to be on that old takes exposed. You don't want to you don't want to be on there. It's no fun looking back going, damn, I could have just waited 5 seconds and not tweeted that. I wouldn't have felt this stupid.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
Well, have a great Sunday, my friend. Good luck to you. Good luck to everyone out there who's hanging out with us. Before we get out of here, I do want to show everyone one thing, one way that you can support us over at Better Than Vegas with the Old Smoke Clothing t-shirt. We have a nice collaboration over there at oldsmokeclothing.com/BTV. And I'll pull up the shirt, show everybody what it looks like. I actually got my shirt in, so I'm going to start rocking them tomorrow. The I Don't Bet, I Win shirts. And we'll give you all a look at that right here. Very comfortable shirt. And with the promo code GINO, You get free shipping on your order, $32, and it's a great way to show your support for some of your friends over here at Better Than Vegas. I know Eric has made you a ton of money. Kyle has. Leo does a fantastic job. Beho and Blackjack, they're doing the baseball shows now with Papelbon, and we have Mohawk Mania every Monday, every Thursday. I know you have a lot of fun watching the backdoor cover. That'll be on tonight when things get a little out of control late on Sunday nights. Head on over to oldsmokeclothing.com/BTV. Check out that shirt, promo code Gino gets you free ship. Good luck today, brother. See you tomorrow. Thanks everyone for hanging out with us. Flip those notifications on for BTV bets and have a great